What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. We're going to give you our post-spring power rankings for the Pac-12 here today. Yesterday, we did the ACC. This will finish up the Power 5 conferences. Tomorrow, I'm going to reveal my post-spring top 25 poll, so make sure you watch for that video. But let's get into it here with the Pac-12. I think this conference is underrated a little bit this year. I think you're going to have some quality teams, and I think that it's not as obvious as you might think as far as who is going to play in the Pac-12 championship. I think you're going to see these teams beat up on each other because there are a lot of quality teams, and there aren't really a lot of horrible teams in the Pac-12 this year. They're all going to be at least pretty good. But let's get into it here, starting with the one team that might be pretty bad still, and that's Arizona. Going through a coaching change. This team's just, again, been awful the last few years. It's going to take a little time. So I expect Arizona to still struggle this year. Maybe they get a couple of wins in the Pac-12. They may not be a team that finishes 0-9 in this conference, but I think it'll be tough for them to get to a bowl game. And I think they're pretty clearly, really maybe the only team in the Pac-12 South that I would say has no chance to win that division. I think the other 5 teams at least have a shot. But I've got Arizona coming in here at number 12. Number 11 is Washington State. Another program that's still kind of in the rebuild mode. They were better than I thought they would be last year. But yeah, they're still really in that rebuild mode. Mike Leach, since he's been gone, it's going to take a little time to get this program where they want it. And I expect them to struggle a little bit. I mean, when you're going out to get a failed Tennessee quarterback in the transfer portal, that doesn't really tell a whole lot about your team. So Washington State here at number 11. Number 10 is Oregon State. Oregon State has now climbed out of the basement. They used to be the worst team in this conference, it seemed like, every year. We've started to see the turnaround here at Oregon State. I expect them to win some games this year, but they're not going to probably compete in the Pac-12 North. We saw them last year win some big games. They lose some guys. It'll be a team that I think will fight. They'll compete. They're not going to be the laughing stock of the Pac-12. They're going to be a team that, when you're playing the top teams of the Pac-12, they'll put up a competitive fight, but I don't think they're going to be able to beat the top dogs. Could you get to a bowl game? Maybe. We'll see about Oregon State. They have a big non-conference game with Purdue. If they could somehow win that game, then I think they could have a real good shot to make a bowl game. But they're here at number 10. Number 11 number 9. We're going the other way here. Number 9 is Stanford. Stanford searching for a quarterback with Davis Mills gone. They got a couple of options. It's going to be a really interesting quarterback battle going into week 1 for the Cardinal. But with David Shaw, you kind of looked at him just a few years ago as one of the top coaches in college football. And I think this is a very similar with Stanford. It's very similar with Stanford and TCU. Gary Patterson and TCU. Both of these head coaches really were considered to be among the top coaches in college football. Their programs were very competitive every single year, but you look at both teams, especially with Stanford now, the last few years, it's just not been very good. The product has not been very good for Stanford, and you have to wonder now, as David Shaw, is he going to have to change some things up? Is he still going to be the future here at Stanford if they have another really bad year? I don't know. It's going to be interesting with Stanford. They're a team that, we got used to seeing Stanford compete in the Pac-12 North every single year. They were a top 25 team, and it just hasn't been that as of late. So this will be a big year for Stanford, big year for David Shaw to see if they can get things turned around. Number 8 is Cal, a team that I actually had, I think, in the top 25 preseason last year. I thought this team was going to be pretty good. Didn't quite live up to expectations. Of course, the Pac-12 was just a mess. With COVID, you didn't have hardly any games. You got interrupted. You had games where you were missing key players. But yeah, who knows about Cal? I mean, they're coming back this year. Should have a pretty solid defense. Return your starting quarterback. They could surprise. Maybe they're a surprise team. Maybe they kind of do what I thought they were going to do last year. And I didn't pick them. I wasn't going to pick them to win the North last year. But I did think that they were maybe the second best team in that division and a team that could make some noise. But this year, we'll see if they can get back to that, or maybe they struggle again. An interesting team here, and just maybe a sleeper, maybe a dark horse in the Pac-12 North. Who knows? Number 7 is Colorado. Colorado was a surprise last year. They've got a couple of really good running backs coming back. This will be a pretty good team, but are they going to be good enough to compete with the top teams in the Pac-12? Probably. I mean, they'll probably win some big games, but they'll probably lose some games as well. So it's a team that, I'm not going to count them out of the Pac-12 South race, but I don't think that they're one of the favorites. I think they have a shot, but it's to me, it's highly unlikely. I mean, you give them maybe a 10% chance to win that division. Again, there are a lot of competitive teams in this division. I think it's wide open. Every team could possibly win it, except maybe Arizona. But Colorado, we'll see if they can surprise again this year. They've done it multiple times. Since I've been covering college football, Colorado has surprised me a couple of times. So they could do it again. Who knows? I just don't really see this team being a top-tier team. Number 6 is UCLA. I think UCLA maybe makes another jump this year. Chip Kelly has really struggled so far at UCLA. And if they don't make some real improvement this year, I'm talking at least getting to a bowl game, maybe even 7 or 8 wins. It may be his last year at UCLA. This is their year. They've got a lot of production coming back, returning quarterback, some transfers that'll help out. I think they have a chance to be a dark horse in the Pac-12 South, a little bit more of a chance than Colorado. Both teams, I think it's going to be tough for them with this in this division, which is going to be pretty tough. But yeah, UCLA here at number 6. I expect them to make another jump this year, or make a pretty good jump. Are they going to beat LSU in the non-conference in their big game? Probably not. But I do think that they'll win some games in the Pac-12, maybe get to a bowl game or do a little bit better than that. Number 5 is going to be Utah for me. Really did a nice job in the transfer portal, especially bringing in Charlie Brewer at quarterback. One of the most well-coached teams, I think, in the Pac-12. So they're going to be out there. They're going to have a tough defense. They're going to be able to run the football. They're going to be a quality team. It's going to be tough to blow them out. They're going to compete with everyone like they always do. And if they can win some close games, watch out for Utah. Utah, I think, has a we talk about UCLA and Colorado. They're maybe in that 10% range to win this division. I think you jump that up a little bit with Utah. Maybe they're closer to 20%. I think they have a shot to really win this division. They've done it in the past, and they could do it again this year. Number 4 for me is USC. I know a lot of people are going to say, wow, USC not at number 2. I think USC is going to be a good team, but there are a couple other teams in the Pac-12 that I've really started to like a little bit more than USC, teams that I think could really be good teams this year. But yeah, with USC, they're still number 2 in the Pac-12 South for me. And I might pick them to win the Pac-12 South. These rankings don't necessarily indicate what I'm going to do with my predictions because you have all the factors that play in, with the schedules and everything. But USC here at number 4 for me. Added some transfers. They're going to help out. Lost some guys as well. Stephen Carr transferred out. Went to Indiana. That's a big loss at running back, but they're loaded there. Talent-wise, they're the second most talented team in the Pac-12. If they can live up to that, they'll win the Pac-12 South. You've got Keaton Slovis coming back at quarterback. Going to be one of the top quarterbacks really in all of the country. He's got guys around him. The defense has not been very good in recent years. Although they've been talented, they just haven't gotten it done. That's going to be a big key for them. If they can play to their talent level on defense and start to have a quality defense again, USC could be a really dangerous team this year. But if they don't, you're going to see them in a lot of shootouts again. They'll probably have some close games. They'll win some, they'll lose some. It'll be another disappointing year. So really, I think it hinges on that defense for USC. Number 3 for me is Washington. We just talked about defense. I'm not worried about Washington's defense. They are absolutely loaded on that side of the ball. This might be the best defense in the Pac-12 this year. Oregon might have a little bit more talent, but when we talk about returning production experience, they've got the guys here at Washington. So we know they're going to be good on defense. They've settled in with the quarterback now. Not going to be a super explosive offense in my opinion, but they'll score enough points to where they can kind of rely on that defense, and they'll be a team that if they can beat Oregon in the head-to-head matchup, I think they have a really good shot to wind up at that number 1 spot in the Pac-12 North. But that'll obviously be a tough test. But number 2 for me is Arizona State, a team that I really started to like. The more I look into this team, the more I research this team, I think this team is going to be really dangerous this year. You've got Jaden Daniels back at quarterback, and really, they bring almost everyone back. A ton of production coming back. They barely even had a season last year. But I remember a couple of years ago, Herm Edwards was getting it done. They really surprised everyone. And flip ahead to the last year. Again, it was just a weird year. I think that they get back on track this year. They're a team that should be the favorite in the Pac-12 South. I think they've got enough returning production, a starting quarterback, like I said, that is coming back, where they could win this division. And as far as my post-spring power rankings, I'm going to have them ranked at number 1 in the Pac-12 South, but not number 1 in the Pac-12 because that goes to Oregon. I think it's pretty obvious. When you look at Oregon and their talent level, there is a huge gap from Oregon to the rest of the Pac-12. Now, USC maybe is kind of close. But Oregon, if you look at the recruiting rankings and all that, Oregon clearly has the most talent. Anthony Brown at quarterback. How good is he going to be? Or do they maybe go to one of the youngsters? That'll be big for Oregon. You know, you've got to have a really good quarterback if you're going to compete with the top teams in college football nowadays. They're going to have a lot of talent, though, and they're going to have a lot of guys on defense to where, again, Washington might at the end of the day be the best defense, but Oregon's probably going to be the most talented defense. That'll be a really interesting race to see who has the best defense, Oregon or Washington. But like I said, Oregon talent level is there for them. They're the favorites in the Pac-12, and right now it's kind of hard to see anyone else knocking them off. Not necessarily in a game, but as far as the overall big picture goes, they seem like the clear favorites to win the Pac-12. Do you guys agree with my Pac-12 power rankings? Give me your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for more here on our SG1 Sports College Football channel.